Then I went back and reviewed some of the limitations of the litigation privilege, and I realized Lively may have made a big mistake.
Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, will be deposed, and I suspect that might be making Ryan Reynolds extremely nervous.
Hugh Jackman appears to be tied with all of this. We have Bradley Cooper, who Blake Lively thanked in the credits for It Ends With Us, seems to be involved in all of this.
It felt almost like nervously so from her team of how much that clearly was the most important thing for them.
So there are a number of high-profile celebrities outside of Blake and Ryan Reynolds that will be dragged into this, and there may be some discovery that gets dragged up that is linked to them.
I don't know how much is going to come through in the transcript that can be read now, but audibly, because we were able to call in to that hearing and listen to it, there did seem to be a lot of stress and a lot of tension, particularly when it came to those points.
Now, the judge has ruled and does agree that high-profile third parties that are not involved directly in the lawsuit, they are entitled to some privacy. Therefore, any of their information may likely be deemed attorney's eyes only.
It just, given what we're looking at and what's happening and the backlash and everything else, I can't imagine Blake's celebrity friends are happy that it's gotten to this point.
You can only imagine what Blake Lively and Taylor Swift are texting about at any given time in the last 3 or 4 years. If we were to get our mitts on those messages, we would have to go to 5 days a week. We would have to go to 7. It would take till the end of time to unpack the messages between Taylor and Blake in 2024.
The judge heard the arguments. I felt Friedman made the better case.
Now they're going to have to prove that, and we'll have to see how much of what they share is going to be considered attorney's eyes only, or was it all BS?
The judge was calling both of them out. He was attempting to keep things being neutral, but there were definitely moments where Brian's arguments felt stronger than the other side.
A spokesperson for Blake says today the court rejected the Wayfair party's objections and entered the protections needed to ensure the free flow of discovery material without any risk of witness intimidation or harm to any individual's security.
Hollywood's golden couple might not be as untouchable as they seem. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are caught in a legal firestorm that's turning heads. And the accusations? Let's just say they're raising more than a few eyebrows. Sources claim Blake might have pulled some strings behind the scenes, allegedly twisting the legal system to her advantage. And now, the fallout is impossible to ignore. What makes this even messier? Justin Baldoni has weighed in, and from the looks of it, he's not holding back.
And he made it very clear that some of the things that Blake was afraid of coming out in court were not things that Wayfair was actively pursuing.
With this order in place, Miss Lively will move forward in the discovery process to obtain even more of the evidence that will prove her claims in court. Of course, the internet is going to say, well, Justin Baldoni's side won here. And I think they're right.
Insiders suggest that his reaction is putting even more pressure on the already crumbling public image of Hollywood's favorite power couple. Between secret legal tactics, rumored industry blacklisting, and a PR strategy that seems to be backfiring spectacularly, things are spiraling fast. This isn't just another celebrity misstep. This is something bigger. And if what's being whispered behind closed doors turns out to be true, well, let's just say it won't be pretty. Now, this is where things take a turn. The legal drama surrounding Blake Lively isn't just some minor courtroom squabble. It's something far more calculated.
We don't think we should have to present some of our text messages in discovery with our high-profile clients, that being Taylor Swift and whoever else. Some people say Bradley Cooper and whatever other friends of Blake Lively might get sucked into this. You know, if it's not relative information, we don't care. It actually proves the point of the audience, saying, well, yeah, we all love salacious stuff, but in the end, it's all about finding the truth of was she actually harassed or not. Justin Baldoni's side argued that they think that she shouldn't receive any preferential treatment because she's famous, and we need to see all this information. We'll redact it, we'll keep it from the public, and they say, no, you'll leak it.
According to insiders, she allegedly went as far as using fake witnesses and questionable legal tactics to paint herself as the victim. And for a while, it almost worked. At first, Blake and Ryan played it cool, brushing off the controversy like it was just another tabloid rumor. But behind the scenes, the reality was anything but simple. As more details surfaced, it became clear that this wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was a meticulously crafted legal strategy, one designed to sway public perception in her favor. And then, things exploded. What started as a quiet legal dispute turned into a full-blown spectacle.
Right-wing influencers are weaponizing the fight to take down #MeToo. Boy, she really doesn't stop, does she? This being Taylor Lorenz. The public is entitled to see different court papers. Everything's supposed to be public, right? Freedom of Information Act are supposed to be public. But in certain cases like this, sure.
If it does. Yes, good point there. Blake Lively wanted to see 2.5 years of documents going back with phone records for everyone that is in her lawsuit. Well, she wants protection from her own sources.
Whispers about fabricated testimonies, blame shifting, and behind-the-scenes maneuvering turned the whole case into what some are calling a legal circus. The more Blake tried to control the narrative, the more cracks started to show. Her approach? It was all about playing the sympathy card, leaning into emotional appeals, painting herself as a helpless victim, and banking on the idea that the public would rally behind her. But here's the thing. People are starting to see through it, and if the evidence continues to pile up, it's only a matter of time before the entire strategy backfires in a way she never saw coming. If Blake thought she could outmaneuver the court, she was dead wrong. The judge wasn't buying it. Reports say that after carefully reviewing the case, it became clear that Blake wasn't just presenting her side of the story. She was allegedly twisting the facts to fit her narrative. And let's just say, it didn't go unnoticed. Eyewitnesses inside the courtroom claim Blake went all in, exaggerating her testimony, bending the truth, even breaking down in tears in what some saw as a desperate attempt to win sympathy. But here's the problem. When you're in a trial, emotions don't outweigh evidence. And from the looks of it, the jury wasn't moved by the performance. One of the biggest blows? The judges ruling on privacy protection. Blake's legal team seemed confident in their approach, pushing to expose certain high-profile third parties involved in the case. But the judge saw right through it, ruling in favor of privacy rights and completely undermining Blake's strategy. It was a clear sign that the court wasn't going to play along with whatever legal games were being attempted. And just like that, the entire plan unraveled. Instead of gaining sympathy, Blake's credibility took a massive hit. Her efforts to control the narrative backfired, leaving her not just on shaky ground legally, but also in the eyes of the public. What started as an attempt to shift blame and protect her image has now turned into a cautionary tale. And the fallout? It's just getting started. And just when you thought things couldn't get any more explosive, Hollywood's biggest power players step into the mix. This isn't just about one courtroom drama anymore. This is about influence, careers being controlled, people being silenced, and the latest bombshell? Audio recordings that might just expose the real game being played behind the scenes. Insiders say that these recordings feature none other than Ari Emanuel, one of the most powerful figures in Hollywood, discussing how Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds allegedly pulled strings to blacklist Justin Baldoni. That's right, the same Justin Baldoni, who's now reacting to this entire mess. And if what's in those recordings is true, then this goes far beyond a personal dispute. The idea that A-list celebrities have the power to manipulate the industry isn't exactly new. But hearing it confirmed in leaked conversations? That's different. That's proof. And it's shaking up the conversation about how deeply connected Hollywood elites really are.
We care about finding out, did he harass her or not?
We will have to see what happens if this goes to court, and we don't know that yet. Most lawyers that I've spoken to think that they will settle out of court. I think only 3% of all cases goes to the dark.
They were not interested in publishing anything about her security, but did bring up that, you know what? Our addresses got leaked. So that's interesting.
But here's where it gets even worse. Baldoni's own agency, WME, reportedly dropped him after Blake's allegations went public. That's not a coincidence. That's a calculated move. The second his name was linked to controversy, his career took a hit. And now, thanks to these recordings, the world is seeing just how quickly reputations can be destroyed with the right connections and the right whispers in the right ears. This isn't just about Blake anymore. It's about the entire system, the way Hollywood operates in the shadows, deciding who gets to rise and who gets to disappear. And if this is just the tip of the iceberg, who knows what else could come to light? At first, mainstream media had Blake's back, painting her as the victim, controlling the headlines, and carefully crafting the public narrative. But there's one thing PR can't fix: the truth. And when legal documents started exposing inconsistencies in her claims, the whole strategy crumbled faster than anyone expected. What started as a well-oiled media machine quickly spiraled into a disaster. No matter how much damage control her team attempted, they couldn't stop people from noticing the contradictions. The court documents didn't match up with the story Blake had been selling, and once the public caught wind of that, the tide started turning against her. And then, things got even sketchier. A podcast episode that featured the leaked audio recordings of Ari Emanuel discussing the Hollywood blacklisting mysteriously disappeared, just wiped off the internet. No explanation, no warning, almost like someone didn't want that information getting out. Now, if that doesn't scream Hollywood censorship, what does? But the biggest red flag? Even Blake's own PR team started backing away. The same people who were once dedicated to controlling the fallout suddenly saw the writing on the wall. This wasn't something they could spin. It was too messy, too public, too damning. And when your own team starts distancing themselves, you know the situation is beyond saving. At this point, the media can't protect Blake anymore. The cracks in the story are too big to ignore, and no amount of damage control can undo the reality of what's been exposed. Now the only question is, what happens next? Because if history has taught us anything, it's that Hollywood never forgets. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get any worse for Blake, this happened. The so-called damning evidence she presented against Justin Baldoni completely backfired. What was supposed to be the smoking gun turned into a moment that exposed just how fragile her case.
Another thing that happened since Blake Lively showed up on the red carpet again on South by Southwest is that all her friends in the media have started to publish positive stories about Blake Lively.
And, clearly Justice side didn't care about the medical stuff or the security stuff. They agreed even in that call. That's not what this is about. What this became about was more of this sort of mid-ground issue.
The judge reminds both parties that the violation of any term of the protective order that he is putting in place is punishable by sanctions, including contempt of.
Blake came forward with a video. One she claimed was proof of her distress, a key piece of evidence to support her allegations. But when the full footage was finally revealed, it told a completely different story. Instead of showing fear or discomfort, Blake appeared smiling, relaxed, totally contradicting the narrative she had been pushing. And just like that, people started asking the obvious question, was any of this real? Legal experts who have examined the case say this moment was a turning point. Up until then, there was at least some benefit of the doubt. But once the contradictions started piling up, it became harder to ignore the possibility that the entire case was built on shaky ground. Some even pointed out that the 180-page lawsuit, which was supposed to present a rock-solid argument, relied more on media-friendly language than actual legal substance. And that's where things really started unraveling. It's one thing to have public support. It's another to have a case that holds up under scrutiny. Now that people are seeing the full picture, the entire foundation of Blake's claims is starting to collapse. And if the truth keeps coming out, she may have more to worry about than just her reputation. At this point, Blake and Ryan aren't just trying to save face. They're in full-blown panic mode. And the lengths they're allegedly willing to go to? Absolutely wild. Reports are coming in that they didn't just hire a high-powered crisis PR team to clean up the mess. They went even further. According to insiders, they brought in former CIA operatives to help control public perception. That's not just damage control. That's next-level desperation. And if that wasn't enough, there are whispers of something even more shocking. A massive $100 million bribe allegedly offered to keep certain evidence from ever seeing the light of day. That's right, a sum so outrageous that it raises the obvious question, what exactly are they trying to bury? Because no one throws around that kind of money unless they have something serious to hide. But the paranoia didn't stop there. Blake and Ryan reportedly scrambled to suppress private messages that involved none other than Taylor Swift, fearing that whatever was in those conversations could be another nail in the coffin. If true, it suggests that this scandal stretches beyond just them, possibly implicating other high-profile names in ways no one saw coming. And yet, despite all these extreme efforts to control the situation, the legal system wasn't playing along. The judge flat-out rejected Blake's request for an attorney's eyes-only protection order, a move that would have kept key evidence hidden from the defense. That ruling alone was a major blow, making it clear that the court wasn't going to let them bury inconvenient truths. With every failed attempt to manipulate the narrative, it's looking more and more like Blake and Ryan have more skeletons in their closet than anyone suspected. And if this is what they're willing to do just to keep things quiet, imagine what could come out if they finally lose control of the story. The fallout has been brutal. Hollywood isn't just watching this scandal unfold. It's actively turning its back on Blake and Ryan. Once considered the industry's golden couple, they're now finding themselves increasingly isolated. And in an industry where reputation is everything, that kind of shift is a career death sentence. At first, it seemed like they had enough power and influence to weather the storm. But as more damning details surfaced, even their most loyal allies started backing away. High-profile celebrities who once gushed about their friendship with the couple have gone silent. No public statements, no social media support, nothing. And in Hollywood, silence speaks louder than words. But the real sign that things have spiraled beyond control? The PR firms, media outlets, and industry insiders who used to defend them have stopped trying. The same publications that once helped shape their perfect public image are no longer running damage control. The people who once vouched for them behind closed doors are suddenly nowhere to be found. That's not just bad press. That's a total loss of influence. And when Hollywood decides you're no longer worth protecting, there's no coming back from that. Blake and Ryan built their careers on being the likable, untouchable power couple. But now, that carefully crafted image is in ruins. And the way things are going, it's only going to get worse. At the end of the day, this entire ordeal proves one thing. No matter how rich, famous, or powerful you are, you can't outrun the truth forever. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds built their careers on charm, wit, and a perfectly curated public image. But when the legal system got involved, none of that could save them. For a while, it seemed like they had everything under control, pulling strings, manipulating the narrative, and using their influence to silence opposition. But once the cracks started showing, it all fell apart. The media spin, the legal tricks, the behind-the-scenes power plays, it wasn't enough. Because when real evidence started surfacing, no amount of PR magic could make it disappear. This isn't just a scandal, it's a cautionary tale. An attempt to destroy someone else's career backfired in the worst way possible, exposing how dangerous it is to assume that power makes you untouchable. What started as an effort to control a situation has instead left Blake and Ryan with a tarnished reputation that even the best crisis managers can't fix. And while the final verdict in court is still pending, the damage has already been done. Hollywood insiders are treating Blake like a liability, someone whose presence is more trouble than it's worth. And in an industry where reputation is everything, that's a career-ending sentence. If this case has proven anything, it's that no one, no matter how beloved or influential, is above scrutiny. And for Blake and Ryan, the lesson came at a price they never saw coming. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds thought they could control the narrative, shape the story, then the legal system their advantage, and walk away unscathed. Instead, they set off a chain reaction that exposed everything they were trying to hide. What started as an attempt to secure public sympathy has turned into a full-blown disaster, unraveling in ways they never anticipated. From alleged fake evidence to secret Hollywood blacklists, from desperate PR stunts to potential bribery attempts, every move they made only made things worse. And now, instead of standing on top of the industry as its golden couple, they're standing in the